what's up guys, it's Disturbed, and today I'm going to be showing you an amazing sniper build that will allow you to hit headshots of over 1 million damage. I'm releasing this build before 1.2 is out, but it still will be the best sniping build once 1.2 is out, because none of the new gear sets are actually going to improve upon this build at all, and not much else is really changing, so this build will still be the way to go in 1.2. So let's get right into it. Alright, so before I get into the gear, there's a few things that I want to mention first. First off, saying the DPS stat doesn't matter. A lot of people think that it does. It's a common misconception. When you're making your character and you want to see how good you're doing, actually pay attention to the numbers you're doing as opposed to this falsified number. This is just, it doesn't really take things into account. Like, for example, if you stack accuracy, it thinks that your DPS is higher, which makes basically no sense. So if you want to accurately see your DPS, just test the numbers, or you can go to divisiondps.com and see how much DPS you're actually doing. Another thing, the reason I'm making this video, it's not just to randomly make a video just to spam content. It's actually because I thought it was necessary, because Sentry's call is not going to be used for SMGs anymore, and I wanted to make a video specifically for the people that want to snipe and what the best build was. And this is because there's a misconception that the 2-set Hunter's Faith is going to be the best build, or 4-set Sentry with 2-set Hunter's Faith is going to be the best build. The reason for this is because people are like, oh, 20% extra marksman rifle critical hit damage. I can understand why you would think that, but using Reckless Chest and Savage Gloves, it just automatically knocks that out of the water, because, you know, critical hit chance increased by 14%, way better, and damage increased by 10% or 14% also, just way more beneficial in terms of flat out damage. And 20% marksman rifle critical hit damage is actually pretty wimpy, but that's pretty much it. And then another thing, in terms of like survivability and stuff, obviously in 1.2 they're going to have toughness, so this number is going to be swayed a little bit, but just try to bear with me if you played before 1.1 and if you're watching this in 1.2. The stats are still going to be kind of the same. So in terms of your health, it doesn't matter really that much. The reason I have it like this is just for precautionary measures, because you're using Reckless Chest, which increases your damage by 10%, the incoming damage you take, but you are a sniper. So when being a sniper, you don't want to get like 90k health, because it just doesn't make any sense. I like to have 70k health and max armor. You can probably drop it lower if you want to just pump into firearms, but I just like to have a good middle ground, just in case I get into bad situations. And sometimes I like to push up with my SMG because I have a pretty good AUG. So it's really just up to how you want to play. If you want to sit back, relax, and just not move at all, then I'd say just get your health to a what's the word I'm looking for, to a comfortable amount, so that you don't have to, you know, so you don't get one-shotted by shit, and just play how you want. So that's the way that I have that set up. You don't want to worry about skill power at all. Now, in terms of modding your gear and what weapon you're going to be using, your secondary, I would say just use an AR or an SMG, doesn't matter that much. Obviously, this is a sniper build, so your sniper of choice is going to be an M1A, preferably a first wave M1A, but you want to make sure that it has a talent capable on it. So if you can get an M1A with capable, that is the best thing to do. Now, the reason you want this, it's basically just like balanced, and if you don't know what balanced was, it was a bug talent that basically just let you spray headshots. It's way better. I made a full separate video on this, so if you want to learn why you have to use this and why it's really good, link to that will be at the top of this video or in the description if you're on an iPhone. So you want to get an M1A that has capable. Other good talents would be brutal, deadly, destructive, ferocious, vicious. There's a few others that I can't think of at the moment. There's that one that increases your damage based on how far you are from them, and a few other things. But those are the mainly big ones, or mainly good ones, not big ones. In terms of modding it, you want for the scope, headshot damage, and critical hit chance. Make sure you get that pink camo on. That's a big part of this. Pink camo, sexy as fuck. For the magazine, you want extended magazine and weapon damage. For the grip, you want one with horizontal stability and accuracy. If you're using a SOCOM M1A, it uses a small underbarrel, but if you're using a first wave, you can use a large underbarrel, so you can get that horizontal stability and accuracy. But with the SOCOM one, you can just use one with horizontal stability. And for your muzzle, you want stability and critical hit damage. This is a big part of it. Now, as I said before, for your secondary, you can just roll with either an assault rifle or another SMG. I like to use this SMG, but it's up to you. And now, in terms of your gear, I'm going to get really specific with all this, so sorry if it's kind of just like you already know about it, but I want to be in depth in the video for people that don't really know about it. So for your Reckless Chest piece, you're going to, for your chest piece, you're using Reckless, increases damage by 14%, increases incoming damage by 10%. Flat out damage increase, I already went over the increasing incoming damage. It's not that big of a deal because you've already gotten that health and that max out armor, but again, play how you want. Now for the major attributes, you probably want, if you're trying to stack up armor, you want to get armor on it. Otherwise, you just want damage to elites and a mod slot. I don't have a mod slot. I re-rolled I think protection from elites so that I could get armor, so I couldn't re-roll that health out, but it is what it is. Now for your mask, you want critical hit chance. You're going to be wanting to stack critical hit chance and critical hit damage with this build. I couldn't get critical hit chance, but I did get one with an extra mod slot. Just try to stack critical hit chance. Now when you're going for your skill attributes on these, this isn't a big deal, but if you want to min-max and just be that guy, you want to be trying to get pulse, stuff for your pulse and stuff for your first aid. Moving on to your knee pads, you're going to be using critical hit damage. For minor attributes, try to get 10% enemy armor damage. This is actually a pretty big deal. And then for skill attributes, you can get that mod slot going. And then for your backpack, pretty much the same thing, just critical hit damage and a mod slot. For your gloves, this is a big part too. You want Savage, critical hit chance increased by 14%, gets targets out of cover. Doing increased critical hit chance is just insane because your critical hit damage does for so much more damage. So when using this, it's just crazy, man. So stacking critical hit chance is a really big thing. So getting 14% is actually a huge deal. Now for major attributes, you want to be rolling with critical hit damage and damage to elites and critical hit chance. Don't want to change that up at all. And then for your holster, if you're trying to stack up armor, you want to get armor. Otherwise, you want to get a mod slot. Make sure it has all 3 stats on it. Otherwise, it's pretty much trash. That's it for the gear. So pretty much moral of the story there, just stack critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Try to get mod slots so that you have some freedom in terms of changing your gear around. Now when you want to be looking at your abilities or your skills, you want to be using pulse with tactical scanner so that you get extra critical hit chance and critical hit damage, and you want to be using booster shot, first aid booster shot or first aid overdose. Now if you want, you can be using smart cover with recharger. I just like to move around sometimes and get into different covers and get different advantage points, so using smart cover is kind of dwindling on me. So I like to use first aid because of the low cooldown that it has, and having a low cooldown is really nice when using capable. So make sure you watch that video about capable, by the way. If you don't, you'll be really lost. That's a really big part about this build, so make sure you watch that. So I would just suggest using pulse with tactical scanner and first aid with overdose. Now moving on to your talents, or overdose or booster shot. Moving on to your talents, triage, this pairs with capable, so make sure you watch that video, otherwise you're going to be confused. Heal an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns, so when you're using your first aid, you get your cooldowns much faster. Now moving on to precision, headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. This doesn't sound that great, but you can actually end up seeing them through walls, plus it gives them the base pulse critical hit chance and critical hit damage bonus on them, so you're doing extra critical hit chance and crit damage. You and all your teammates are once you shot that person in the head, so that's pretty nice. Another one that's really good is one is done, headshot a hostile to have a 50% chance of not consuming the bullet. With this build, you're pretty much just going to be making sure you land constant headshots, so headshotting a hostile and then getting your bullet right back into that mag reduces reload time, so that's a really nice thing to have. And then the last one, combat medic, use a med kit near allies to heal group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. Now if you get in situations where you're about to die and you can just spam a med kit real quick and then it instantly gets you to full health, but if that doesn't happen to you a lot, another thing that is really good is steady hands. Enter any cover to reduce recoil by 25% for 10 seconds. What this allows you to do is, let me just give you a quick little demonstration. So I sit in cover here and then I come back up. As you can see on the very bottom part there, I get a buff, and once it goes away, or while it's there, it just reduces my recoil with my gun, and then I can go back into it and I keep doing it, and I have reduced recoil by 25%. 25% is actually semi-substantial, so that's pretty nice to have as well. So those are pretty much your talents. Now just to show you the sheer damage that I'm doing, also another thing to take into account is that I don't have by the way, Sentry's 4 set, if you don't already know, I thought I should go over this just to say it, but you're getting 30% headshot damage, 20% damage to elites, Headshots mark the enemy, increasing the damage inflicted on the target by 15% for a duration of 10 seconds each. A target can receive up to 3 marks. You all should know about this, but the headshot damage is really good with an M1A because headshots is mainly what you're going to be going for. Damage to elites is pretty much just any yellow enemy, and the increased 45% damage when getting 3 headshots on an enemy is absolutely just a massive number, so you definitely want to be using that instead of something like Striker or something. Now, you're not going to be seeing my main damage potential because it's not going to be showing my 10% enemy armor damage, and it's also not going to be showing my 39% damage to elites. So basically just see the numbers that I'm doing now and then add 50% to it. So basically just not double it, but like half it, if you know what I'm saying. So 150% multiply it, I guess you would say. So this is basically the damage. Now, as I said before, you're going to be using the talent capable, so you have to use the skill and then start shooting. But as you can see, it's basically like balanced. I can shoot a lot more instead of just missing a lot. So I'm getting 797,000 every single hit. That easily skyrockets up to over 1 million, and I'll show a clip of that later. When you are outside in the DZ shooting guys with the extra damage to elites, especially when you're pulsing and using your overdose. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the gear. So as you can see here, I'm basically just one-shotting these guys, and my numbers would be even higher with higher headshot damage on my M1A and better talents. But that's pretty much it. I hope this helped. If it did, please drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. Later, guys.